So how do we go from minimum wage job at Subway to trading in the stock market, right? I'll give you a little background. My parents, my mom, they used to own a restaurant together. They owned that. They operated it, built it for like a decade, and then they closed it. So there's that fun story there. After that, my mom, she works as an environmental attorney, and my dad works at Wells Fargo. So he's the head of municipal placements. He sells big bond deals, municipal and mostly municipal bonds. He'll arrange the deals and set it up so that these guys can finance whatever projects they want to work on with tax status, preferred tax status. So my parents, they've been separated for a while now, since 7th grade. They separated, and my dad used to live in Charlotte, but he lives in Atlanta now. So point is, it wasn't a huge influence starting in the market. It was more, let's get this going. I got to figure out what's going on here. Just kind of like my hair, right? Just not going to stay there. I was at Subway, working at Subway, and December, January, something like that. I think it was about January. Just go to Google. What is stocks? And man, it's just taken off since then. You just read these websites more and more and more, and I just loved everything I saw. And it was just all this cool stuff, looking online, looking at websites, looking at videos, looking at all this fun trading, investing, compound stuff like that. Compound interest calculator, you find something like that, and you're like, whoa, right? So you learn a lot. If this doesn't make sense, this is all like chapter 3 and 4 of the book. It's just basic stuff. But the problem, there's just nothing out there. There was nothing like the book out there. So it was like I had to learn all this stuff the hard way, right? The hard way. But it was just going through just all these websites, and you just go and go and go. So I go to school, go to work, and then I would just like read about investing and finance, and I just loved it. It was really cool stuff. Do that for a couple months, and then I start to research technical analysis. I start to research trading once I get the fundamentals done. So I start to understand, okay, what are some high probability patterns that I can game in the stock market with consistent trading. So that's like part 2 of the book, basically, is technical analysis, except for like the diversification brokerages. But you start to get a good handle on, what can I do over and over to just keep making profits. And that's what I thought was really enticing about it, is you can learn it, and then you're good at it. You got this, man. So that was really interesting. So I did that for a couple months, and then I started making, fake positions. You build a fake portfolio. In retrospect, it was like, I don't really know why I did that. I had the cash. I hadn't really spent any of my Subway money. But, it's cool. You practice, you trade, and it works. So I did that for about a month, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go hard on this. And cut Subway. It was a tough decision. It was a real big decision. But, walked in with a 2-week notice, and because it was already really tough, the scheduling there, with how I was working, just my parents being the way they were. I was traveling a lot, so it was kind of hard to get, hours, and it was a real, big mess on that front. But I made it work, and it worked. It was great. Still love the experience. The Subway video, it was just awesome. So we quit Subway, and we did it, man. We started investing in the stock market full time, and I just loved it. It was awesome. So first couple of trades, some of them went great, some of them went awful. It was just that awful diversification. Just thinking about it makes me so happy. And you see these trades go up, and they're all based on technical setups, right? So a couple of these are actually in the book as some of my first failures. I love them because you learn so much from them, and you're started to get just all this great experience in the market, actually managing financial assets and positions. And even though, there wasn't a whole lot of information out there, I was learning by doing, right? And I think that's a big principle you can take away from it, is like, just freaking do it, whatever you want to do. I wasn't like a professional or a fiduciary or a financial manager or advisor. I didn't get a CPA, or degree. Like, just Google it, and then just research for a couple months, and then you just start doing it, and you learn on your way. You learn with experience. And if you lose money, like, honestly, you're just paying to learn. Just paying to learn. It's like, marketplace tuition's what people call it. And you can use fake money stuff too. It's great. I talk about that in the book. It's kind of like psychology. It's a little bit weird with it, because you want to kind of feel yourself losing money. I remember kind of my first like fake positions using technical analysis, and it was like cool. But once you really start making, even small positions, it's like, you buy and sell one share of a company, you're just going to feel that gain. You're going to feel that loss so much more. I remember like NVIDIA stock, they were in an upward wedge pattern kind of like this. But, the way I was still pretty new to it, I thought that meant, they were going to go down. They were going to go down instead of what would actually happen if you read the book. It just goes up. So it's a really, strong probability setup. And oh my God, I remember like it was yesterday. It was the funniest thing. I'm in the car, and I wasn't driving yet. So my mom drops me off at school, and I leave my phone in the car. And that was the day, man. That was the day I should have trusted myself. I should have gone hard on it. You learn a lot from stuff like this. So, I walk to like 10 steps to school. I turn around and run back to the car, grab my phone so I can trade my stocks, right? You got to be trading stocks in between classes, because it's like 5 minutes in between classes, 7 classes a day. You can squeeze in an extra half hour, 45 minutes just trading stocks in between classes. I loved it. It was killer. I was doing that all year. It was just awesome. And same thing with cryptocurrency trading, but that wasn't until later. So, I was looking at stocks, on my phone all the time in between classes, and then at home, you just look at stocks, trade stocks, and I just loved it. It was awesome. So that specific day, NVIDIA reported earnings at 4:15 after the bell closed. So at the end of the day, they were going to report their earnings. And as you guys know, if you've read the book or if you just had any experience in financial markets, earnings season is just especially for tech companies. And in that time in the market, it was really inflated. So you saw a lot of stuff happen really quickly. It was some really great gains to be made. And if I knew what I was doing, I would trade in options. I seriously should have had like some butterfly setups or something. If that doesn't make sense, it's all in the book. Really easy stuff to profit from once you really understand it. I just wasn't there yet. So I had a long position. I was holding them for the past couple months. I just bought them out of faith because it was like, I recently built a computer, and it was like I bought an NVIDIA graphics card. So I was like, oh, I know what NVIDIA is. I've heard of their company. And it was just dumb luck. I bought them. AMD, I had a similar position with them, but it was a little different with them. I didn't actually own any of their products, but like I saw what they were doing in the marketplace, and you could see tremendous value with their fundamental analysis. So it's just like overall growth, and there you go, 2 positions, half my portfolio. It was awful diversification, but it turned out well. AMD, it was great. But anyway, the day before earnings, I'm on my phone, I'm reading these articles about what all these newspapers think's gonna happen. Think will happen, because you gotta understand at that point, NVIDIA's $100. They were like $20, $5, they were like, their chart goes from like, nothing to like this huge run up. So, they were already high, right? They're already really high. So a lot of growth like already in the sector, but at the same time, like there was just huge profits rushing in, and that was the whole start. That was kind of a blind time. But that was really when the cryptocurrency mining started. But it just wasn't in the prevalent marketplace yet. It was still kind of like before. So it was a really interesting time. And all these people, all these articles, they're saying like NVIDIA earnings are going to fail. And I didn't care too much. I never cared too much about the news. But I did see that wedge set up. So, it was going back and forth, but in an overall down pattern. And, I was in on this support line just out of pure dumb luck, right? It was when I started investing. It was right around here. And then they just kept doing that, and they were like right about here, right? So if this is the wedge, they're right there. And I know that this earnings report is really going to have them break out of the wedge. So, my partial research at the time I thought that it was downward wedge means it's going to go down. So I was like, I better sell. I had a 3% profit on the position, which was, it was like I held it for a month and a half, maybe tops. So it was like 3% a month. That's pretty good, right? But I thought they were gonna go down, and I made the great call to call my broker and be like, hey, you know what, NVIDIA, we gotta sell NVIDIA before earnings season, or before they report earnings. It was just such a fun experience, and you learn so much too about communication with just going out and just doing whatever it is you want to do. So we call all the guys, at lunch, and that's the same thing, right? You have to prioritize your time. So when you're taking in extra things like that, where, the market's only open 9:30 to 4 o'clock, so you got to fit it into school however you can. It starts to really get you into a mindset of, I got to make my time worth it. We're going to go hard on this. So call them at lunch. I'm like, sell NVIDIA. We sell NVIDIA, which turned out, so basically, and it was like one of my first real positions with cash, and that's why it was so crucial that when they actually broke out of the wedge and went the way they should have gone, is in one of the chapters in the book. It's like triangles and wedges if you want to learn about it. The next night at 4 o'clock, 4:15, that night, I'm sitting in front of my computer, And you see the report earnings, and then after hours, the stock goes from $100 to like $125, like in 5 seconds flat. So it was just this phenomenal experience, and I laugh about it now, but at the time I was like devastated. I was like, oh my God, we just lost all this stock money, right? And it was so small, right? It was like a couple shares, who cares? But it's the significance of the, it was, it was like, a couple grand, something like that, not a big deal. So it was the significance of like really being in the position and feeling, okay, this something happened here, something happened really wrong here, I gotta figure out what's going on. So you really learn, you gotta improve what you're doing. And it was, interesting too, you also learn about capital liquidity. Maybe not on every trade, but on that trade, the next day, the stock went back down to like $105. And just for some perspective here, it went to like $300, right? In the next, half year or something like that. So there's still time to get in, right? It's not like it's going to go to $300 overnight. You've got time to work your plays in, especially when you understand the corporate fundamentals and believe in the underlying company. You're going to have strong long-term growth for sure, right? It's just how you're going to play it out. So in that short-term position, obviously, I made the wrong decision. And at the same time, I wasn't really able to buy back in just because of the way my brokerage was set up. I didn't have UGMA, UTMAs. If you don't know what that is, just check it out in the book. Easy stuff for sure. But it was just tough because I was a minor, right? So I was doing everything through my parents, which there's different pros and cons to it. I talk a lot about it in the college section. There's like different ways college aid will be affected by the account type you have. But just read the book. You'll understand that. It's pretty simple. So I didn't know any of that at the time. I was just like, hey mom, can I trade the stocks, please? And she was like, yeah, whatever, I'll put you on my Fidelity account. And I hated Fidelity. Their fees, their fees, when you're starting out, it's like, who wants to pay $5 for a trade, right? But at the same time, I wasn't old enough to open a brokerage account, so I was like, okay, all right, I guess we'll do it. And you just make it work. I got free trades because their account was like, already had a bunch of trades in it, so it works out, I guess. And that's what I did with day trading too, just going with Fidelity, making it happen. And you learn about the software too, and you adapt to it, and you're forced, their Active Trader Pro platform, that was what I was trading with. We'll talk about summer trading later, but it was really cool. It just makes you adapt to it and understand, here's how it happens. So, point being, buy your first stock. Like, read the book. If you haven't read the book, definitely recommend you know what you're doing before you get into it so you don't make stupid mistakes like I did. But you'll just learn so much, and it's like such a great tool for building your long-term wealth, and it's great growth. I really hope you appreciate this, guys. It's been really fun. It's a great transition too between like Subway and day trading, just this intermediate period where I was like, let's trade stocks, and you just do it and it happens. Sweet, man. Good luck, guys.